Well done. Thank you very much, Werner. It's an exciting kickoff. And now the next speaker, who is Joshua Scigala, has been a part of the Berlin, but also wider Bitcoin and blockchain ecosystem for a very long time. I can prove it because I think we met for the first time in the legendary Room 77 Bitcoin meetup sometime back in 2012, a long time ago. And Joshua went on to found one of the early crypto exchanges, Vaultoro, and has also very actively participated in the, some of you may remember, sometimes very emotional discussions around Bitcoin scaling, which today are far more quiet, but there were times when these discussions were extremely intense, and Joshua was actively participating in them, not just in Room 77. And today, Joshua will present us his new venture, which is the standard.io. And I'm very much looking forward to hear what he has to say to us today. Welcome, Joshua. Stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. It's lovely to see so many people on, during this bear market, which is fantastic because you have to be long and understanding what this thing is doing and what the blockchain and crypto as a tool does for freedom and for society. And so that's the lovely introduction. I've been around the block for a while, and actually back in 2010 found this amazing thing, and I straight away thought, wow, I've got to put, because I had this swap site where people could swap clothes instead of buying and selling, because I wanted an alternative economy outside of fiat. And so back then you could use my service to swap stuff plus add some Bitcoin, and you could buy some alpaca socks as well. That was all you could do with Bitcoin. But it's just such an amazing tool that, of course, it's grown a lot more. And after Mt. Gox collapsed, we wanted to set out to build a truly transparent exchange that dealt in gold instead of fiat, because gold could be insured to however much you've got, whereas banks just insure it to a small amount. Well, to a small amount for businesses. It's like 100K or 250K in America. Which is a lot of money for an individual, but for a business, it's really not. So we built that, and it's still going strong. But in 2019, I was on stage at LaBitConf talking about the fact that these algorithmic stablecoins were rising, and the reason why I saw it was because in around 2020, 2019, 2020, around there, a lot more people were invoicing us as freelancers in stablecoins, and I was like, what do you want this shit for? Like, why one tether? And always the answer was, well, my accountant is literally going to kill me if I put another invoice in Ethereum or Bitcoin because it's price fluctuations and they have to scratch their heads. And so I just want to invoice in Tether, I'll get paid in Tether, and then I can buy the speculative asset with that afterwards. So it made a lot of sense, and I was like, okay, gotcha. So, but at LaBitConf, I was on stage with Nevin from Reserve, and we both talked about how these algorithmic stablecoins are coming up, and one of them is going to get really freaking big, and then it's going to collapse because it's built by fluff and backed by fluff, and then a lot of people are going to lose their shirts, and then the state's going to come in with their superhero costume and go, we'll save you with regulations. Of course, who writes the regulations? Well, it's the legacy banking system. And that nicely builds a nice moat around them, lets them take control of this emerging economy. So I came back to Berlin and started thinking about a truly asset-backed stablecoin project. And so really, we need to find a stablecoin protocol that is decentralized. Now, Maker is the best example of this. they allow people to back a fiat-pegged stablecoin by locking up rare numbers like Bitcoin, Ethereum, but they made some mistakes along the way. They made a lot of mistakes along the way. And so we wanted to correct those. And they were the first through the door, but the first through the door also gets shot, you know? So you got to sort of wait what happens. Okay, let's fix those problems. And that's basically what we're doing at the standard, is to say, okay, let's take the best from some of the great protocols that have come along and leave the worst parts out. So we first wanted to look at, okay, liquidations. How do we solve liquidations? Well, liquidations suck, right? Because you've locked up assets, you've borrowed some stablecoin, and all of a sudden we're in a bear market and you're about to lose your shirt. So there's two things we're doing at the standard. One is to allow people to basically every smart vault, we're calling it, is also an NFT. So you can then sell your debt if you can't pay yourself back, or you can't afford to put more collateral in. So you can sell your debt. Now imagine in 2008, when the housing crisis was happening, if all those CDPs with subprime mortgages embedded in them actually were NFTs, then people could actually look inside of them and see what sort of assets are in them. It would have been really cool. So, so we're doing that, but also we're allowing people to automatically switch to tokenized gold. So if your crypto is just tanking, your smart vault can automatically trade the collateral inside of it to a tokenized asset like gold. And so this is really cool. The other thing we wanted to work on was, I just didn't like the idea of a base money, the base currency of the world being sat upon an interest rate or a stability fee, like Maker call it. So what we looked at is some other protocols like Phi protocol, as well as what Olympus did. And Olympus did a lot of crap, but they invented one cool thing, and that was the bond. And so what we're doing to launch the first stablecoin on the standard protocol, which is based on Ethereum, well, it's on Ethereum, is to, well, firstly, it's a multi-stablecoin output. So instead of just USD, which is, you know, why are we all pegging everything to USD? We're going to have a whole suite of stablecoins based on this, and it's going to be over-collateralized. So, but how do you get the first thing out? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what algorithm or what thing is backing it. If there's not enough liquidity, your stablecoin is going to lose its peg. So the first step is to basically build a big pool of liquidity that sits there in a stability pool to buy back and sell crypto, sell rare assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum back to you for your SEO. So what we're doing is running an initial bonding curve offering, and what will happen is people will put in some Ethereum and they get stable, like S-Euro, we're calling it, stable Euro, standard Euro, at a discount, so at 80 cents. And the more volume that comes in, the less that discount becomes until it reaches 1-to-1. But now all these people have S-Euro, so what are they going to do with it? So the first use case will be a bonding curve to actually start to put it into liquidity pools. So then they can put the S-Euro as well as some USDC or some other counter asset into a stability pool, or into a liquidity pool, and get a bond that has different maturity dates on it. And the longer the maturity date, of course, the longer the higher the APY is. So these are sort of the mechanisms to first start to launch a good stablecoin with deep liquidity. Of course, after that is when we roll out private smart vault. So think of that first stage as like a shared smart vault. It's one big pool of funds that will always buy back at 99 cents and sell at 101. So in the middle there, it'll always be sort of around about 1. But having the smart vaults private, so people can then lock up things like Bitcoin, Ethereum into these vaults, and then issue themselves standard euro, standard yen, standard dollar. That's then a possibility for them. Plus, there's no interest, because in Maker you have the interest rate, which allows them to keep that peg, right? So if DAI drops below $1, they lift the interest rates on everybody, and some people go, oh, that's too much of an interest rate, I might buy back my DAI and pay off my debt, and that pressure, that buying pressure, lifts the price. Instead, we're just going to have a nice fat liquidity pool to say, hey, we're always going to buy back and sell back. At that, plus there's a bunch of other incentives in place there. But that's 1 minute. All right, 1 minute. Let's go. And but so yeah, the important thing is here that we cannot trust. We need to build a proper stablecoin protocol for this industry. It's really important. DAI is amazing, and they're coming to the same conclusions as we are. Some of their latest posts are really all about like decoupling DAI from the US dollar, and we're effectively doing the same thing by allowing the standard to peg to anything, and by having a liquidity pool. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to some of the other calls speakers. Sorry. We've got some tote bags at the back with the initial block signing from Satoshi that says, you know, what is it? I've even forgotten. Chancellor, yeah, Chancellor on the brink of new bailout for banks. Check them out; they're on the tables there. And thank you so much, and thanks for the great event.
Thank you so much.